Morning, everyone. My name is Kyle Oursler. I'm the UCC product manager over here at 888 VoIP. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment and make sure you all can see my screen, and we'll wait for a couple more folks to arrive. Hope to stick to the half-hour time limit with the presentation today. We will have some time at the end to have a Q&A session and answer any questions that we don't address throughout the presentation. All right, let's see here. All right, 1 second, guys. Just having a little trouble getting the screen sharing going. 1 moment. There we go. All right, with that, we're at the top of the hour. So again, my name is Kyle Oursler, the account manager and unified communications / video conferencing product specialist here at 888 VoIP. I wanted to say thank you to everyone who took time out of your day to meet with us and learn a little bit about what we have going on now from Yealink with their new VC200 product, talking about some of the feature sets related to the VC200, some of the ways it compares with other solutions on the market today, and some of the ways it integrates with popular video platforms as well. So let's take a look at our agenda. It'll be pretty straightforward, relatively high level looking at this product. We will talk about some of the more technical aspects of the solution for a little bit. If there are questions related to that particular type of question, let me know at the end. Shoot us a chat through the on-screen interface from Webinar or GoToMeeting, and we can take a look at it as well. So aside from the VC200 and the Yealink endpoint, we're also going to talk about a particular video platform that is sold and distributed through 888 VoIP. That's a platform called Easymeeting. But we're also going to take a look at a couple other platforms and how they integrate with the VC200 endpoint, as well as the feature set of the hardware itself. When we talk about Easymeeting, we'll have a rep from the Easymeeting team on the line as well. Her name is Sally. She'll be doing a quick presentation for a couple of slides on their particular products and how they stand out from some of the other vendors in the space. So we'll just get started with who 888 and Yealink are. If you're unfamiliar or haven't worked with us in the past, 888 VoIP is a value-added voice over IP and unified communications hardware distributor. We're Yealink's largest distributor here in the States. We have a line card and staff fully devoted and dedicated to voice over IP and unified communications solution delivery and support. So we've been in business a little bit longer than 10 years now, and we have an ever-expanding line card dedicated to supporting our partners and our customers who are primarily internet telephony service providers, managed service providers, value-added resellers, integrators, things of that nature. So when in terms of video conferencing and Easymeeting and Yealink, the idea behind this solution combo, as we'll see here, was to deliver a product to the reseller that can go to market strong and easily and quickly and provide some value to their customers if they're looking to get into video conferencing, unified communications through video, be it through hardware or mobile solutions or web solutions. So we'll discuss that a little bit, but again, 888 VoIP, largest Yealink distributor here in the States. Yealink themselves have been around for about 16 years if you're unfamiliar with them. They're a global IP endpoint manufacturer for telephony and unified communications products. So they've been very successful on the IP telephony side, so much so that they're the largest global IP manufacturer, and then number 2 here in the States in terms of phone volume sold. They're looking to do the same or replicate that same success when it comes to video conferencing and unified communications and collaboration. So when we're talking about video conferencing products, this is the 3rd gen of video conferencing solutions that Yealink's rolled out. The VC200 is one in particular that they're very excited about having on the market today to compete with the USB and PC-based type of video solution that's been growing in popularity recently with the increased use of voice and video hosted services. So let's just jump into the VC200 and what it is and the design behind the solution. Specifically, the VC200 is marketed as an all-in-one endpoint. And the reason being it's capable of being registered or used with a variety of different communication platforms and methods, whether you're using the device with an IP PBX, using SIP, doing point-to-point IP connections, or integrating the endpoint with a cloud-hosted or web-based platform. The VC200 has that flexibility to work with a multitude of different solutions when it comes to the service and connection component of video conferencing. We'll talk about some of the specifics around that, but that's the reason why the VC200 is considered an all-in-one endpoint, because it does have that flexibility to work with a variety of different platforms and a variety of different methods. I want to talk about some of the specs or the features around the VC200. The endpoint itself is an IP endpoint. It is all-in-one also too because it's a single component. There's not an additional speaker, there's not an additional microphone, there's not an additional mixer. The VC200 itself is a camera with built-in beamforming microphones that is in the housing of the device. It's designed to sit on top of a display or underneath a display for that matter. It also has a built-in mount for top of TV mounting, so that there's not an additional piece for that as well. The endpoint itself supports up to 4K quality video streams. It can come down to 1080p or 720 based upon the operating environment it works in. It runs an Android operating system. The beamforming microphones, they project out about 15 or so feet, give or take the environment in which you're using the device in. The VC200, it supports wireless content sharing. Yealink has their own wireless content sharing adapters. They connect by USB. They work with the VC200 as well. The system itself is Wi-Fi and supports Bluetooth, so that if you do have an environment in which there's not a network job available, or if you want to tether, let's say, a cell phone, or let's say even a Bluetooth-based conference phone or speakerphone to augment some of the audio with the VC200, you can do that as well. So there's a lot of built-in flexibility and user features built into the VC200 that goes into the all-in-one tagline of the VC200. So it's a feature-rich little endpoint. It works right out of the box, has all the components out of the box that you would need for install as well. Briefly mentioned this before, but the VC200 was really designed to go after and target the customer using a USB-based webcam tethered to a PC or a laptop. There is some drawbacks and some restrictions in terms of that type of solution that can be addressed and replaced with a VC200 solution. Specifically, the quality of the experience oftentimes can be limited when we look at a PC that runs a web-based application or a desktop-based application, which is managing our video connections. That can restrict the quality of the video, maybe from 1080 down to 720, or might not give the integrator a lot of customization capabilities and be really reliant on whatever the client can offer in terms of video quality, bitrate, content sharing, things of that nature, to the user that has the USB camera connected to that device. When we compare that to the VC200, we see that we can get the 4K video right out of the box. We have a dedicated IP endpoint that doesn't require the use of additional hardware components, such as a separate PC and a separate camera. This is an IP endpoint with a remote interface that can be accessed either locally or remotely for either management, updates, troubleshooting, what have you. With the VC200, as we'll see, there's built-in cloud integration components as well, so that if we do have users that use Zoom, that use a Cisco environment, that use Easymeeting, BlueJeans, there are pre-built integration components within the web interface, as well as the software of the VC200 that makes integration to these types of environments very seamless and very easy, not only for the user, but for the integrator. So the VC200 really wants to support and drive the adoption of video, whether that's just point-to-point video conferencing, that's cloud-based video conferencing. The system is designed to be flexible, to be adaptable, and used in a variety of environments, more so than what we see with a USB camera connected to a PC that runs a client or is running on the web. So I want to touch on a couple of different platform pre-configurations that are supported by the VC200 and within Yealink. The first is for BlueJeans. For those of you who aren't familiar with BlueJeans, it's one of the popular video, cloud-hosted video applications out there on the market today. Yealink has collaborated closely with BlueJeans to develop a product called Meeting Space. And Meeting Space is essentially a way to allow the VC200 endpoint to integrate into a pre-existing BlueJeans subscription without requiring the addition of a special license or subscription to allow hardware endpoints, third-party endpoints, to integrate within that BlueJeans environment. So Meeting Space allows the user to take calendar and directory and user information from a BlueJeans environment and have that accessible through the user interface of a VC200. For example, if someone, a BlueJeans user, were to set a calendar invite, the VC200 would be an available room for that particular meeting. Also, too, if that room is selected for that meeting, the time and date of the meeting will appear on the user interface of the VC200, and the user now has one click to join access to that specific meeting right through the user interface of the VC200. Same thing for the directory access. The VC200 and all video endpoints from Yealink do support a local directory access server, or LDAP, for directory contacts. Once we get the VC200 integrated to the BlueJeans environment through this Meeting Space platform, the full directory from the BlueJeans environment becomes available as well through the interface of the video endpoint. So you can see the different features, how it looks on the screen there in the bottom right of the presentation. That's a direct cut right from a VC200 that was connected into that Meeting Space environment. Okay, another real popular platform out there, you may have heard of it, Zoom. Zoom video conferencing. They've built a brand within the channels over the past few years, become very, very popular across multiple enterprises. Within the web interface of the VC200, you can register multiple accounts. As we mentioned before, you can do SIP accounts right to a voice switch IPPBX. You could also register to a voice or a video conferencing cloud platform. And some of the built-in functionality we mentioned before about making it a seamless or easy to integrate endpoint for those types of platforms is seen here on the right of the slide. This is a cutout from the web interface looking at the video conferencing registration, or the cloud video conferencing registration page within the 200. There's pre-configured text fields, and there's even a drop-down box for you to select your preferred platform of choice. In this particular example, we've selected Zoom. Once you select Zoom, there'll be a pre-filled set of text fields related to the registration of that endpoint to the Zoom platform, which is provided from Zoom. Once you select to choose their room connector as an add-on to their service. That's a key point if you're going to have a Zoom user ask you guys for a video endpoint to integrate within that platform. If they are a Zoom user, they need to add the H.323 room connector to their existing subscription, because Zoom is, in its basic form, a web-based application that goes and uses WebRTC and run through browsers and non-traditional or standards-based video endpoints like we see from Yealink, Polycom, Cisco, etc. But As long as the 323 connector is part of the user subscription, it's very, very simple to integrate the VC200 into that environment with the process that we see here on the right, just going through selecting your cloud account of choice, putting in the URL of the server, and getting the system registered as an endpoint within the ecosystem. It's a 5-minute process once everything's set up and in place from the Zoom side, and that's a set it and forget it feature. It does not need to be done over and over again. User can, once registered, dial into meetings, dial other Zoom users, or dial into other Zoom rooms. So I wanted to touch on a couple popular voice or video platforms. Now, on the other side of it, a lot of our customers in particular on the ITSP side, offer some sort of SIP-based or proprietary voice switch that supports the use of video, or at least the pass-through of the video traffic. So IP-PBX registrations for the VC200 would be handled in the same way that you would a phone. You can create a registration or a user extension, DID, what have you, within your voice environment, whatever your preferred platform is. Take that information, use it to register the device to that platform, the VC200, and as long as the voice switch supports the pass-through of video traffic, you can connect to other endpoints on the network, both audio and video, once connected to the IP-PBX. Same thing goes for WebEx, Cisco WebEx, Cisco Express. If a user has that environment and is looking to add endpoints that are non-Cisco, cut costs, or leave if they've left the previous relationship where Cisco was their primary hardware vendor, you can integrate the VC200 into that same environment. You can connect multiple different ways, but the point is it's a SIP-based registration or it's an H.323 registration based upon the type of environment, that Cisco environment. And the point is the VC200 can go either way, SIP or 323. And then lastly, if we have a scenario where a customer has nothing, no sort of video conferencing type of platform they want to integrate, or they don't want to put this type of solution within their voice environment, the VC200, again, is an IP endpoint. It runs a DHCP. It will pull a local address. It can take a static IP address too. It can also do NAT, or network address translation, around the firewall, so that if you did just wanted to do point-to-point connections between two locations, two offices, right across the internet by using an IP address or a port-forwarded IP address, the system can also support that type of connection as well. So I want to take a quick pause, just because we're going to transition here over to the Easymeeting side of the presentation. I want to just kind of revisit our points here with the VC200. It's a feature-rich IP endpoint. It's a 4K video endpoint with built-in audio, no requirement to integrate third-party sound if you don't need it. The VC200 supports wireless content sharing through the use of an adapter, and can very flexibly, or is very flexible in terms of connecting to multiple different types of environments, different types of platforms, based upon what your customer or your preferred platform of choice is. So with that, I want to pass the ball over to Sally Blank. She's our channel rep over at Easymeeting. She's going to give us a look now at the Easymeeting product, talk about the different ways it goes to market and how it can integrate with the VC200. Sally, I believe you are all set.
Okay, let me see if I have control of the presentation. There we go. Well, I apologize if you hear any background noise. I happen to be near a construction zone, and even though I've got my windows buttoned up tight, there may be some noise, and I apologize for that. Thank you for including me in today's conversation and presentation with Yealink, and we're happy to be a featured conferencing application for this particular tool. Easymeeting, you may not be familiar with us, but we've been around for quite some time. We're a Norwegian-based company. We are a cloud-based video conferencing provider. Our parent company started Easymeeting about 10 years ago because they realized video conferencing, especially hardware, isn't always easy to use, and then there may be some challenges with presenting technologies to people who aren't video experts, and they tend to maybe get a little bit intimidated by technology, and they have some fears about using it, which means they don't adopt it. And then those that have invested in the technology aren't happy that they did so. So we decided that we need to make video conferencing not only easy to use, but we wanted to be able to provide a very reliable service, as well as pride ourselves in offering best-in-class expert support. So that's really who we are. We have this vision of making video conferencing very easy for people to use. And by that we mean not only is it easy to join, but it becomes easy to connect calls and to reach out to people within your directories, and use our services with hardware and make that a more friendly experience. So real quickly, I know we're running short on time, but we have two services that we offer, two different platforms. One is essentially a virtual meeting room, and this is a shared account that we would allow for up to 30 meeting participants. We can join a Easy Conference virtual meeting room from any device, especially from hardware devices such as H.323 and SIP devices, your hardware codecs. And whether using smartphones, tablets, or your laptop, we want to make that very seamless experience as you're using our services with any one of those particular devices. The virtual meeting room does support recording and streaming, and we can also have Skype for Business users as part of the conference call. Most recently, though, we have launched a new service called, there we go, called our Easymeeting Desktop Client. And this is more of an individual personal account, so we sell it as an annual subscription per seat. So rather than a shared account like Easy Conference, this is an individual account. And it's typically for those impromptu video chats, video calls you need to have during the course of your workday, whether it's for internal use or external stakeholders that you work with. But the idea is that you can have point-to-point calls or up to 10 people join your video chat. And we've tried to customize this, or allow you to customize it, so you can have a built-in directory, you can have your favorites, you know, your buddies list, you can see presence, so you know if somebody's online or not. We also have instant messaging or chat feature, and we do this whether you're in a meeting or not. So chat is a function of the Easymeeting service as well. One thing we do, because we do know it's important to combine easy to use services with the hardware, is allow you to link your endpoint. So what this essentially will do, it will allow you to forward any calls you may be expecting on your desktop client. You can forward that to a room where you have a VC200 installed, for example, or any of the Yealink codecs for that matter, and allow you to use that hardware when you want to make use of the HD audio and HD video, and guarantee that quality experience. Along with making calls you know, easy to dial and easy to find who you want to connect with, and connecting those calls, we do give you the ability as well through our Cloud Connect service to register those endpoints with our gatekeeper. So what that will do for those codecs is assign them an easy number. That codec is now searchable and can be found within the Easymeeting directory. So we do that for existing hardware or new hardware you want to install. With the Cloud Connect service, you also have spam filtering, as well as H.460 firewall traversal. So it gives you some security there as well. One other quick service I want to mention before I hand it back over to Kyle is our Unity Session Border Controller. And you all know that when you install video conferencing hardware, we need to assign a public IP address to that particular codec. And what we can do, rather than having individual IP addresses for every codec, we can have a single IP address for our border controller and route all that traffic through Unity. This also means that you have one firewall set up for all your devices, rather than needing to go through that exercise for each and every codec. And the Unity allows you to scale as the licenses or the units, the codecs, I should say, grow throughout the organization. And we provide then a simple management interface for the IT team. There is a one-time setup fee and a monthly service, or I'm sorry, an annual service charge for Unity, but I'd be happy to talk about that in more detail as you're working on projects where you have at least 3 codecs going in. 3 or more codecs is kind of where this gets to be interesting. Aside from that, we do offer trial accounts for the Easymeeting service, the desktop client. I'm happy to offer you one, a 14-day free trial. So if you'd like to reach out to Kyle or myself afterwards, we can make sure that that's available to you. I think that brings me to the end of my slides. Kyle, I'll kick it back to you.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Sally, so much. So as Sally mentioned, there are a couple different products within the Easymeeting portfolio, and one of which that we're really excited about bringing to market in conjunction with the VC200 is their desktop client. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the VC200 itself, it's a point-to-point system, meaning you can only have one outbound connection at a time with this device, whether you're connecting to a voice or video platform or another endpoint across the network. The point is you only have one outward connection to rely on. That being the case, we want to encourage the use of video as a collaboration tool. So we're selling at this time the VC200 with a bundle of 3, it can be more, but at the very least 3 one-year subscriptions for the user license, the desktop user license from Easymeeting. So essentially what we could do with this bundle is deploy one VC200 in a location and assign 3 folks the video license, so that they can then either pair that license to a VC200 and have any incoming calls to them as the unique user ID assigned to them, call forwarded to that particular endpoint, or they can use the VC200 to connect to any of the other folks that have one of the licenses. So by getting this bundle, you're effectively creating a nice little ecosystem for voice or for video conferencing with hardware and software all in one bundle. As Sally mentioned, you get the chat feature, present feature, and the online, or I should say the desktop presence and soft phone. And then we can incorporate the hardware for our conferencing and meeting spaces, or for that remote user, executive, whomever that we want to have video capabilities with. So that's something we're really excited about. It's all priced out here at 888 VoIP. It's all bundled together at one time. Again, we can scale the licenses per need, but again, we figured that with one piece of hardware like the VC200, 3 users is a good place to start as a nice entry-level solution. So with that, that brings us right to the end. We're going to take a couple minutes to answer your questions. I saw a couple come in here through our chat area. If you guys are all set with questions, my contact and Sally's contact information is listed here on the page. We'd be more than happy to help you out. As I mentioned, we have demos available both for the Easymeeting solution, but we also have hardware demos as well. We can get products in your hands or your customer's hands for proof of concept, for potential opportunities, or if you're just doing some assessment looking to see how you might want to get into the video market, feel free to let us know. We'll get you wherever we need to enable any sort of support or sales you might have identified. So with that, we're going to take some questions here, answer some questions. If you're all set, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to meet with us. I really appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. So there was a question that came in about the wireless content sharing adapter. So the adapter itself, there is an additional fee for. It's a separate line item than the video endpoint. The model itself is called a WPP20, and what that is a USB adapter that plugs into a laptop, a Surface, what have you, and it connects by Wi-Fi and will be programmed to auto-locate the video conferencing endpoints so long as both devices are going to connect to the same network. If you have your Wi-Fi set up on a different subnet than the video system is on, you're going to have to do some configuration ahead of time to make that seamless. But assuming that both systems are on the same network, it's a very seamless addition for the USB adapter. It's a plug-and-play adapter that as soon as plugged in, will launch a small box or window within the user's computer, asking them if they want to share a screen or share an application, and then that will go away as soon as they unplug it, or they can close the window itself. Once the preferred method of sharing is selected, it's projected right up on the screen. Pricing wise, I believe the list price on that's $399. We can get you channel pricing as well if you give us a call. We can also provide a copy of the slide deck. I believe this is also recorded. We'll have to see if it did or not. Otherwise, we can at the very least get you a slide deck. Taylor, there was a question about the desktop client. Can we dial IP addresses of other codecs using the Easymeeting desktop client?
One thing that I didn't mention, did you say other codecs? Not in the desktop client, no. We can do that in the virtual meeting room, but not in the desktop client. We do have a mobile app that when you use the link my endpoint, when you do the call forwarding, you can essentially now use your smartphone with that application on there to control to make calls through your hardware codec. So it's an easier way to dial through the hardware codec, but you would need to be part of the Easymeeting directory to dial the other codec. But in the client, you cannot do the public IP, no. But we can on the virtual meeting room.
Gotcha. And like you said, once we get an endpoint registered for free, I might add, to the Easymeeting servers, you get a unique user ID for that particular device. And so instead of using an IP address, we now are just relying on the unique user ID from Easymeeting. So cleans that up a little bit too. A question came in sharing from an Apple iPad. So at Apple, they have their own specific port. There is an adapter that you can get for that charging port. I forget the exact term of that port, but anyhow, there is an adapter that's out there. I think Newegg has it, Amazon has it. Basically allows the addition or the use of USB and HDMI connections to an iPad. So that's not something we sell. It's a third-party solution, but it is something I've seen used before successfully. All right, any other questions? I don't see anything else coming in, but want to make sure we're. A question came in, any differences between this and a GrandStream solution, GVC 3210? It's a great question. So there are some differentiators between this and the 3210. A lot of similarities too, but real big differences. We see this is an IP endpoint that supports different types of platform registrations, Zoom, Easymeeting, BlueJeans, what have you. it's a little bit more flexible than the 3210, whereas the 3210 is more so designed for use with the IP video talk platform from Grandstream. It is preloaded with BlueJeans integration, but I don't think there's any other platforms that it supports. The VC200, it also supports 4K video quality, whereas the GVC 3210 supports 1080p. VC200 also supports the wireless content sharing adapter, whereas the 3210 does not. So a little bit of similarity between the two, but there's, I think, a quality factor, a little bit higher level quality factor with the VC200 versus the 3210. But as you alluded to, the price is a little bit lower too. So they're both lower cost IP endpoints designed for smaller Huddle spaces and remote users. I just find the VC200 to be a little bit higher quality and a little bit more flexible than the 3210 is. And it works much better with Easymeeting versus Grandstream, which is a big thing for us. So kind of a higher level view. So I was taking a look about the tariff implications with this particular product. They may be affected by the tariff. It remains to be seen. Over the course of the next 2 to 3 months, there'll be hearings and discussions and all sorts of lobbying going on that will address what this situation is. The preliminary list I see does have some camera and video components in it, although I don't see anything specifically about IP video endpoints. So personally, I prepare for the worst but hope for the best. A 10% tariff would be something that would have to be passed through, but this is a low cost enough endpoint that 10% I don't think would be super disruptive in the long run anyhow, but it is certainly something we're keeping our eye on, yes. All right, getting to about 20 to 3 here in the East. So with that, I think we'll let everyone go. Again, really appreciate the attendance here to our webinar, learning a little bit about what Yealink here has in the market, as well as Easymeeting. If there are any questions, please let us know. Please reach out. Be happy to talk to you guys. Anything that you might have in mind, just wondering about the state of the video conferencing market, or any particular questions you have about maybe bringing video solutions online as a product within your line card. Be more than happy to discuss that. Either myself or Sally are always available Monday through Friday, available by phone or video, as you might imagine. So again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. We're going to go ahead and shut the webinar down, and we look forward to speaking with everyone here shortly. Take care.